Alright, so we move over to 1FC. We got Timofey Настюхин versus Christian Lee. So Christian Lee has a 3-inch height advantage. Reach is probably similar. Just don't have. I think Nastyukhin actually has really long reach, but 1FC don't list it, so whatever. It's also in Lee's hometown in Singapore, so yeah. Alright, so striking for these two. Alright, so for Nastyukhin, he's a little tank. He just comes forward looking to land bombs. For Christian Lee, I think he seems very antsy in there. He's a very young guy. Seems very, he's all over the place. Not much structure to his striking. Comes in with a ball of energy. Doesn't really have too much structure to his game. It's not necessarily a bad thing because it's worked for him so far in his career. But if he got into the UFC and started approaching fights like that, I don't think he would last very long. But yeah, it's okay in 1FC, I guess. And he's got serviceable stand-up, but definitely prefers the fight to be on the mat. Alright, so favourite strikes for these two guys. For Nastyukhin, he's proficient at catching a leg kick and then trying to land an overhand. Catches a lot of kicks. Christian Lee, if he throws a kick out, I bet Nastyukhin's going to catch him with that overhand. And yeah, so for Christian Lee, he likes the overhand rights as well. Most of his stand-up is based around the overhand right or the straight right. He'll look to throw that overhand right just to close distance and then look for his takedowns. Christian Lee is constantly circling to his left, which can get very predictable. Nastyukhin's always looking for that overhand right. If he times that, because he will get the read on Lee's movements pretty quickly because it's fairly predictable, then it could be a short night for Lee because, Nastyukhin does have a little bit of power. But yeah, he can, throw the left hook before that just to get him circling to his left a bit more, I guess. And then you can throw the overhand right from there. But yeah, Christian Lee seems to have a poor understanding of range as well on the feet. He often gets caught closing the distance, doesn't really set up his striking entries or grappling entries that well. For Nastyukhin, he wings a lot of his punches, but I think he has a lot more success when he straightens his shots and throws, starts throwing the straight right instead of the overhand right, but he does, wing a lot of his shots. Seems to generate a bit more power when he straightens everything up as well. That's just my observation, so it's whatever. So with Nastyukhin, you can freeze him up with feints a little bit. Christian doesn't feint, so we won't get into that too much. So for Christian Lee, he backs up in a straight line when he's pressured, and Nastyukhin's going to be pressuring here. Good example of that is in the Dargi fight. Just backs up in a straight line, gets caught in the fence, falls on the fence a few times, gets tripped up on it, and also he doesn't check leg kicks on the feet. But yeah, the grappling is where Christian Lee really wants it. A lot of his takedowns do come from the body lock entry. The body lock, and then he looks to grab the outside leg, reap it out, or get the inside leg and reap it out from there. A lot of his takedowns do come from the body lock or the clinch. Once he does get you on the mat or he breaks your posture, he looks for the front head pinch, looks to snap you down and then turn that into an anaconda or a Das submission from there. When he does get it to the mat, he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, and he is pretty decent on top. He's got good ground and pound. He's very opportunistic with it. The problem, he is very comfortable off his back as well because he does have really nice jiu-jitsu. He does accept bottom position quite easily. For Nastyukhin, he doesn't mind a bit of grappling either. He's got a good double leg on the fence, and he's also very opportunistic with his ground and pound. Alright, so how these guys win their fights. Alright, for Nastyukhin, he's got decent power. He's also very tough, super gritty. I think he broke his leg in the Boku fight, and he was still trying to get back to his feet and stand and bang pretty much. So he's very tough. Needless to say, for Christian Lee, he's legit in top position. He's very good on top. He's got good scrambles as well, and he's got decent reversals when he is on bottom. He doesn't have the most defensive guard. He can be open to ground and pound. He's mostly looking to set up his own offense on bottom, so he can leave him open for really aggressive ground and pound to be landed on him. Alright, so how these folks lose their fights. Alright, so for Christian Lee, he's quite hittable on the feet. You know, his hands away from his chin. He stands very tall. He closes distance very carelessly, often. For Nastyukhin, he slows after round 2, pretty much. I mean, he looked done at the end of the Boust fight, and that was only 3 rounds. There's going to be 5 rounds, so... And 1FC, they score it... Yeah, whatever, I'll get to that later. Path to victory for these two. Alright, so for Christian Lee, look to drag him into deep waters. Be persistent with the takedowns, even if you're unable to get them in the first and second round, maybe. But yeah, just be persistent with that. For Nastyukhin, look to get him on the back foot, force the shot out of him. Don't let him set up his shots, or, you know, get comfortable being on the front foot. But yeah, keep your foot on the gas even if you are tired. Just start winging shit. Start winging overhands, left hooks, even if you're really gassed. Because he isn't too much of a threat on the feet, so if you can, you know, if you can just stuff the takedowns on hard alone and just start winging shit on the feet, I think you can edge a decision maybe. Also, if you do get in top position, look for ground and pound. Just be aware of his reversals, but, you know, he is open to be ground and pounded down there. Alright, so how I see this fight playing out. Alright, so judging is based on the whole fight in 1FC, which is what I was going to say before. So Nasty can't just dominate the first 3 rounds and then coast. You know, well, he can, but, you know, the tactic is less effective in 1FC because, you know, what's going to be fresh in the judges' minds is probably the last 2 rounds. I'm not huge on how they score fights, but it's what they have, so it's what we have to work with here. Lee has only hit the 3rd round 3 times in his 17 fight career as well, so, you know, gas tank concerns there, but I do give him the advantage in the gas tank just because Nastyukhin's is very limited. Not by a lot though, you know, Nastyukhin probably could get by just on guts and, you know, just hustle just to get a decision here, but yeah, I think I see Lee pulling away with it later with his grappling, either getting the finish or just leaving a lasting impression of the judges, just dominating with his grappling in the last few rounds. You know, Nastyukhin could definitely put him away early or, you know, win the first 2 rounds, but I think after that he gets in real trouble. Just the way he paces himself and just his limited cardio. So, you know, I actually don't know if there's going to be a crowd. I haven't looked into it. But Lee seems to be the type of guy that feeds off the crowd quite a bit to me. Maybe why he's so anxious and antsy in the cage. But if there's not a crowd, I'd be really surprised to see how he comes out. But I'm guessing there would be a crowd. I guess we'll know if there's a crowd at the Demetrius Johnson fight coming up. But yeah, it's whatever. Not sure Nastyukhin would pass a USADA test. Like, if you have a look at him, I think he'd like literally burn the cup if he tried to take the test. But yeah, he's always game. He's got power. He could definitely put out Lee, but I think Lee's gonna take it here with his grappling late. Maybe a live bet on Lee if Nastyukhin beats him up for the first 2 rounds. If they even do those for 1FC, because yeah, I think he's gonna dominate later. And if Nastyukhin blows his wad in the first 2 rounds, I think the judges are gonna take Lee's side, because he has got a few favourable decisions in 1FC before. So I think, and it's in his hometown, so I'm guessing if it's close, they're going to take Lee's side. But yeah. Yep, alright, so let's have a look at the line.